Hi, my name's John. I'm a scientist. When I'm not being a scientist, one of the things that I really love to do is to scuba dive. Nothing I love more than going in the sea and seeing fish, beautiful things like that. But when you learn to scuba dive, one of the first things that they teach you is you should never hold your breath. I'm not going to go into the reasons why right now, but it did make me think about what makes us breathe. When you think about it, every time you hold your breath, you can only do it for so long, and then all of a sudden, or you sort of. So let's not go there today. Only try this experiment if you know that your lungs are fine and you don't have any breathing difficulties. If you have asthma, probably best to sit this one out. However, left me the question as to why we breathe. Is it because we need oxygen? So what I've got is I've got one of these from school. It's a pulse oximeter, and what it does is measure the amount of oxygen that is in my blood, and it measures it as a percentage. Now, through the magic of filming, I'm going to be able to show you and talk to you at the same time. So what I'm going to do is try and hold my breath for as long as possible, and I want you to watch the screen that I'm going to show you in the corner of the screen. The reason being is because you're going to be able to see how much oxygen is in my blood at any one time. If I hold my breath, do I breathe because I need oxygen? Am I running out of it? So here goes. Gonna hold my breath. Okay, there you can see the machine. You can't see any numbers yet because it's actually still calibrating. The numbers should appear any second now. Right, the number at the top, 84, 83 now, well, that's John's heart rate. It counts how many times his heart beats in a minute. The number at the bottom, well, that says 98. That means that 98% of his blood is oxygenated. That's quite high. If it was 100%, it would be all oxygenated. Has that number come down yet though? We would think that as his tissues are using up oxygen and therefore creating carbon dioxide, that they would change a little bit, that would lower. Not your finger, John, lift your finger up, there we go. Okay, it still says 98, we can just about see that flickering away. However, his heart rate has gone up somewhat. Oh dear. Okay. Did you notice what happened to the number at the bottom? As John just explained to you, the number at the bottom is the percentage of oxygen in my blood. Did it go very far? Well, actually, you noticed that it didn't really drop very far. So that tells me something about the amount of oxygen that is in my blood. It tells me that even when I hold my breath and I have to breathe, I don't actually breathe because I need more oxygen. So there must be something else. Question: what other gas do we use when we breathe in and out? We tend to think that we breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. Well, we do actually. We use some of that oxygen, and our tissues in our body react with it to be able to turn it into sugars for energy and things like that. But that means that as a byproduct of that process, we actually create carbon dioxide. Now, carbon dioxide, it gets a lot of bad press, but there are some things about carbon dioxide you probably haven't thought about. Every can of pop that you have is full of carbon dioxide. When you open a can or a bottle, all those bubbles come up to the top. They're carbon dioxide. So where is that gas when it's in the bottle or in the can? The thing about that is that it becomes dissolved under pressure in that can of pop. You can experiment with 2 bottles of water. One will have just still water in it, and another will be sparkling water. Now, sparkling water, well, that is full of carbon dioxide. They squeeze the carbon dioxide in, and it becomes dissolved in the water. It actually makes what we call a carbonic acid. Now, you've heard the word acid before, perhaps. What is an acid? Well, that's a different topic altogether. Suffice to say that we can measure whether something is acidic or is alkali. And we use a pH scale. Now the pH scale, at water, it's neutral, it sits at 7. If it's lower than 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it's an acid. If it's more than 7, it's an alkali. There are many things that are like alkalis. Soap is an alkali, it's very good at killing germs. Acid, also very good at killing germs, but not really what you want to do with it right now. But if you just dissolve carbon dioxide in water, then you are making carbonic acid. And that carbonic acid can have a pH of about 4, which is quite a strong acid. So anyway, as the carbon dioxide gets dissolved in your bloodstream, it makes the blood slightly acidic. Now that's kind of interesting because the body needs to check that the blood in your body is quite nice and, well, relatively neutral. So in your heart, there are 2 chambers. One chamber pumps blood to the lungs, the other chamber pumps the new blood from the lungs straight round the body. That's got full of oxygen in it. But as it pumps it out of the body, it pumps it into the main artery called the aorta. You can look at it in a book. But here's something interesting. Just as the blood enters the aorta, a little receptor just checks it, just to make sure that it's not too acidic, that there isn't too much carbon dioxide dissolved in our blood. Now obviously, because we're not breathing when we do this experiment, that carbon dioxide doesn't get breathed out. So it goes back around the lungs, back through the heart, past the aorta. So as the body checks, it just sends a little signal to the brain to say, it's a bit acidic here, it's time to breathe. Despite the fact that we're going, no, we're doing an experiment. No, we're doing an experiment. It doesn't make any difference. At some point, the brain will override your desire to do this experiment and it will make you breathe. So there's the answer to our question. We don't breathe necessarily because we need more oxygen. We have plenty of oxygen in our bloodstream. We actually breathe, more importantly, because we need to get rid of the carbon dioxide. Anyway, that's all from me. I hope to meet you at some point soon, preferably once we've all managed to get a haircut. Enjoy the rest of CoCoMAD.